So our next speaker is definitely an experienced leader. And since joining the organization over 20 years ago, am I right?
Sorry, how many did you say?
20 years ago?
Not that. I'm not that old. Andy Hammond he's been here longer than me.
Okay, a long time ago. He's done exactly that. So he's been helping Toastmasters to grow. And in today's workshop, he'd like to share some of his learnings on how to manage the fear of public speaking. So, if the workshop entitled Fear of Public Speaking, not a problem not now that James Brown is back in town. Please give a round of virtual applause to Pedro Casillas.
Thank you very much, Monica, and hello everyone. I can't see. I can only see myself because I've got the wrong view. That's better. That's good. Hello everyone. Good to see you all. Fear. I don't know about you, but I'm petrified about giving this speech. But maybe my own tips will help me to help you. We shall see. I have a question for all of you, and if you'd like to put it into the chat right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the most scary, what is it like for you feeling fear? Do you feel absolutely petrified by getting up or wanting to get up and speak in front of an audience? Or are you as cool as a cucumber and nothing is going to be a problem? So I'll ask Monica just to let us know about that. But anyway, let us start. So Monica introduced me. I'm Pedro Casillas. I've been a Toastmaster for 19 years. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster, been past District Director of District 91. And I've got some tips here because fear is real and it scares me, it scares everyone. But I've got some tips that I reckon if you follow them, because this is going to be a bit of interaction, you will find that you can deal with those fears and bring them under control. But some background. When I was 19, I worked for British Rail at that time, and I was part of the union called the NUR, the National Union of Railmen. And I was asked to read a motion at one of their annual conferences. And I had no idea what was involved until I arrived and saw that I was going to speak before an audience of over 500 grown men. I must have been about the youngest one there. And it was a large theatre. Just walking to the stage was intimidating. I had to walk down from the balcony across the stalls, then up onto the stage. I was absolutely petrified. And when I turned to face the audience, I panicked. I was supposed to read the proposition and then argue for it, but instead, I said the words as fast as I could, and then I ran off that stage. I'd been given no preparation. I had no idea what was involved. I had no idea what to do. And I left feeling so dejected that I vowed I was never going to speak in front of an audience again. Well, fast forward some 15 years. I'm a secondary school teacher now. Head of year 11, 15 to 16-year-old girls. And one of the roles was to run a school assembly, which meant I'm standing in front of over 120 girls from a stage. It was so nerve-wracking. And it was only when I joined Toastmasters some 20 years later that I found a platform where I could learn and practice to deal with fear. And I've studied why is it that sometimes I'm afraid of speaking in front of an audience and why other times I'm not. Well, I've got some solutions which have worked for me and I'm going to share them with you. There are 3 of them. The first one I call Feel the Fear. The second one I call Coffee Time. And the third one I call James Brown. This is going to be interactive. And if you'd like to get the best from this workshop, have a go and follow along with me. So this first one I call Fear the Feel. It starts with a story. Now I want you to be with me and imagine that you are standing on a platform and you're looking down into a deep ravine. It must be about 50 meters deep, which is about 150 feet. And I'm hooked onto a steel cable, waiting to go down on a zip wire. Well, there are 4 people in front of me, all waiting their turn. 3, 2, 1, go! Shouts a voice. And then there are 3 people left. And I'm not feeling good. My legs are starting to feel like jelly. 3, 2, 1, go! Says the voice again. And then there were 2 people in front of me. My stomach is starting to churn and gurgle. 3, 2, 1, go! Said the voice again. 1 person left in front of me. I was starting to feel sick and beginning to panic. 3, 2, 1, go! My turn next. Behind me is my family, all happy, smiling, looking forward to the ride. How was it that they were so excited while I'm standing there like a scared rabbit? It was not fair. The person controlling the ride said to me, well, once the line is clear, you'll be good to fly. Well, she must have sensed my fear, for she looked in my face and said, look at me. Just go when I tell you. You got that? The ride is safe. You have nothing to fear. The fear will go and you will be fine. Well, I must have nodded yes, for the next thing I knew, she was counting 3, 2, 1. And then she gently guided me off the platform. It took me by surprise. I wasn't ready. And there I was, gently floating down the wire. And quite unexpectedly, as she said, all my fears just seemed to float away. She was right. Well, there's no question that I felt the fear. I was afraid of that zip wire, and the thought of being supported by a flimsy wire hurtling over a ravine of 150 feet scared me both physically and mentally. And we know there are many people who react to speaking in public in the same way. For some people, the mere thought of speaking in public just brings them out in a cold sweat. Well, over the years, I've looked into this issue of fear, and here are the solutions I'm going to tell you about. And this is one called Fear the Fear. Victor Frankl, the psychiatrist, survivor of Auschwitz death camp during the Second World War, and the author of the book Man's Search for Meaning, he developed a technique that he called paradoxical intention for dealing with fear. And it works like this. When you know that you will be facing a situation that's causing you to feel afraid, like speaking in front of a large or an unknown audience, do the opposite of what you would normally do. So instead of trying to get rid of the fear by acting brave or trying to get rid of the butterflies in your stomach by telling you that you're not really afraid, do the opposite. Do everything you can to feel the fear. And now it sounds crazy, but it really does work. I know it. I have tried this many times. Well, I'd like you, if you would like, to do an exercise with me. And together, I'd like you to feel the fear. We are going to feel the fear of speaking before an unknown audience. So if you'd like to take part with me in this, I'd like you to close your eyes. And I want you to be next to me as we do this. You arrive at a Toastmasters meeting. It's a new club for you, a new town, perhaps a new country. You don't know anyone at the meeting. There are around 30 to 50 people there, and you sit down and the meeting begins. Suddenly they're doing something called table topics, and the presenter, the table topics master, is pointing at you to come to the front of the room and to answer a question. You stand up, and then without any warning, your legs start to tremble. Feel your legs trembling, and it gets worse the closer you get to the front of the room. And you can feel everyone is looking at you now. Imagine people staring at you. Your stomach starts to make gurgling sounds, and you start to feel sick. Imagine that feeling of panic. And as you reach the front of the room, your hands start feeling clammy and wet. And the presenter asks you a question which you barely hear. And then you turn to face the audience. Now you really are feeling sick. Your mouth goes dry. There's tension everywhere. And when you go to speak, nothing comes out. You feel your face go red. All the eyes are staring at you, but this time they're starting to whisper at you. They're not saying nice things about you. They're talking about you. They're laughing at you. They're saying how terrible you are. You really are panicking now. You're looking around for an escape, and then you run. And you're off that stage. You can open your eyes now. Not a nice experience. And yet, for many of us, we've been through this, and we still go through this. What I've learned that following this technique is that once you really feel that fear, something marvelous happens. And again, I know it sounds crazy, but once you actually know what's going to happen or potentially could happen to you, you become less frightened because you already know what could happen. And here's the thing. It's not the fear of something that's the problem. It's the fear of the unknown that's what causes the fear. I'll repeat that. It's not the fear of something that's the problem. It's the fear of the unknown. That's what causes the fear. So I say, feel the fear in advance, and you will find you're not so afraid anymore, or maybe less so. And when you come to face that thing that is scaring you, speaking in public, you'll find you're okay. And you are okay because you've already experienced that fear in advance. So remember that zip wire? So what happened? Well, after I landed, I found I wanted to go back and do it again. But this time I knew it would be different. This time I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew it would be great. You see, I could hear the attendant's voice speaking to me. Do not hesitate, she said. Go. When I tell you, got that. The ride is safe. You've got nothing to fear. You will be fine. And with these words, she took away the fear. For I knew then that all would be well, that all the safety measures were in place, for I had already felt that fear, and I was okay with that. And what a ride it was. So that is called Fear the Fear. Feel the fear. So can we have some questions coming from in the chat? Any comments on that? Does that make sense, what I've been talking about? It sounds paradoxical, but that's the whole idea. It is to do the things that you don't normally do it in your head, so that when you come to face the fear, you've already worked out what's going to happen and you're not so afraid. Can we have a minute, please, Monica, if people would like to put things into the chat?
Sure. Gia is saying that it makes perfect sense. I can concur. It's not something I would normally do, but maybe time to try out. We have a comment from Debs that welcoming the fear really helps. Someone says that they love the approach, kind of like the exposure, and that is great exercise.
Okay, let's move on. Let's have some coffee. This is coffee time. So once you've felt that fear, now you can add another step, and I call it coffee time. It adds on to feel the fear. Coffee time helps you to get ready to actually do the speaking. This is a positive visualization technique. So here's the scenario. You've been given an opportunity to speak before a large audience. You've written a great speech, and you know it's a great speech because you've spent a lot of time on it, and you're getting excited about giving this speech, and you want to share it with many people. So how do you get yourself into the peak condition to deliver the best speech possible? This is where coffee time comes in. It builds on the fear and helps you get ready to give that excellent speech. And it works like this. And I want you to think that of a friend or someone that you know very well, someone that you really trust, and you're meeting that person to have coffee. If you don't like coffee, that's okay. You can choose another drink or have no drink. It works just the same. And again, if you would like to, I'd ask you to close your eyes. And we're going to be meeting with this very good friend. Okay, I know some of you don't have any friends, but don't worry. Just think of one in your mind and it works just as well. Now imagine that you're having a great conversation with this friend of yours, and there's a lot of ebb and flow, give and take. You're both feeling very happy. You're feeling relaxed. And then you look at your watch and you notice that you've been speaking over 2 hours. Where did the time go? It felt so much less. And just notice how you were feeling. You're relaxed. There's no tension in your shoulders. You're feeling contented, and it's great. This is the feeling that you're going to take on stage with you. And let's do it. Let's go onto the stage together. So this time the Toastmaster introduces you. And this time when you stand up, there's no tension in your legs. You feel relaxed and confident. You stand upright. You look around the room, your head held high, shoulders back. You smile to the audience. And when you arrive at the front of the room, you turn and face the audience. And this time, there are no butterflies and your hands are dry. You feel no tension, just a little confident smile. You're pleased to be there and you want your audience to feel relaxed and ready. And you look at the Toastmaster and you see the same smile that you saw on your friend's face, and it feels good. And then you look at your audience and they're also looking at you in a positive, expectant way, and they can't wait for you to get started. And then you start to speak and the words just flow. It's coffee time and the audience are hanging on your every word, and you know it's a good speech. You can see the audience are enjoying it. And at the end, your audience get up and give you a big round of applause, and you acknowledge the applause, a big smile, and then you confidently walk off the stage. You feel great. You can open your eyes now. And this is what I do every time I get up to speak. If it's an unknown audience, I use the feel the fear technique so that I'm not afraid when I get up to speak and face the audience. I then use the coffee time technique to mentally rehearse my speech in advance and see what it's like to get into that state, to take that relaxed feeling after I've had coffee with a great friend of mine. And it only takes me 5 minutes, to get myself prepared like this before I go onto stage. The more relaxed you are, the more you'll be able to focus on your speech. The more you focus on your speech, the better chance you'll have of delivering a brilliant speech that your audience will want to hear. And does this work? Yes, it does. Do you have to work at it? Yes, you do. But the more you put into trying these techniques, the better your speeches will be. Now, look, don't just take my word for it. Try them and see for yourself. Okay, just going to pause again. Again, Monica, if we could ask people if they'd like to make any comments about what they've just heard. Does that make sense about having the coffee time, to visualize yourself feeling great and getting up and feeling good?
Yeah, we have comments. Asim is saying that these are fascinating concepts. To become so comfortable online, I suspect it will need these techniques when we finally go back to speaking in front of a room of live people. Very true. I think we'll be all dreading that, considering we've been locked up for almost a year or a year.
Well, these techniques will work, and they work online like I'm doing now, and they work definitely in front of an audience. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go on for the third and the final one? Okay, now this is where you have to ham it up, because I'm going to ham it up. So the third and final technique you can use to put yourself into a peak condition is something I call James Brown. Right, there are times when you've done all the preparation, the speech is written, it's a good one. You felt the fear, you've gone through your coffee time, but you're tired. You've had a hard day at work, haven't been sleeping well, the kids are keeping you awake and you just don't feel it. So what can you do? What can you do to push yourself over the edge and get yourself up into peak condition? This is where James Brown comes in. Because I feel good. Da, 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 da. I knew that I would now. So good. So good. I got you. Da, 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 da. I know you think I've gone completely doolally and nutty by doing that and making a fool of myself, but this technique works to get me into a peak state where I can bring energy where I didn't have energy before. When I hear it, I can go from being tired to being really energized. And I think you can feel that my energy has gone up a bit since I started doing that. There is something about upbeat music that can change your mood in a heartbeat. So when I want to have this energy, I just start singing the song. I either do it out loud like I've just done, or I do it in my head. It does not matter. Okay, so I know there's going to be one or two of you who don't like this song. Well, that's not a problem. Any other upbeat song works. As long as it works and as long as it makes you feel upbeat, let's get it going. Now, you up for a challenge? You fancy doing a bit of singing? Okay, unmute yourselves then, and let's do James Brown. Okay, ready? One, two, three. I
Feel
feel
good.
good. Da, 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 da,
That I would
I
now.
would now.
I
I
feel
feel
good.
good. I knew that I would. So good.
So good.
I got you.
So good.
So maybe we'll have to go back to some singing. But can you start to feel the energy that you've got? And where does that come from? Well, this comes from a technique called NLP. It's called anchoring. And it takes this situation like a time when you really felt good and energized, and you use a trigger. And the trigger can be the James Brown song. And it just takes you back to the time when you first felt it, heard it, and that association brings it along. So that's what I do. You can use any other song. All you have to do is remember the song. It can be a Tina Turner song, anything that you really like. Just start doing it. And I just start tapping around before I go on stage to get myself into a peak condition, and away I go. Monica, how are we doing on time? Because I think we're a bit...
We have a couple of more moments left, probably around 5.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this came from Victor Frankl. He survived the death camps during the war, and he was asked, so how did you survive in Auschwitz, where most people were dying? And he said that the guards who ran the camp, they could control when we got up in the morning. What we ate, not much. When we ate, not much. What we did, where we did, nothing was nice. They controlled when we went to sleep. For how long? Never enough. They controlled all physical aspects of our lives. But there was one thing they could not control, and that was our thoughts, our minds. Only we could control that. So after the initial shock of being in the camps, we soon learned that how the camp worked. We learned that most of us would end up in the gas chambers. We learned that how the death camp worked. We knew what was going to be happening. And then we stopped being afraid of it. It was the realization that feeling that fear, that really trying to experience it in advance in the worst possible detail, that's what led him to develop this idea of paradoxical intention, and which all of us can apply that to public speaking, because we've all been there. We've all been up in front of an audience and we've frozen. A few years ago, Ed Tate, the past world champion of public speaking, he came on stage in front of a very large audience of over 2,000 people to deliver a keynote speech, and he froze. He forgot what he was going to say. The word didn't come. And it took him a few minutes to regain his composure, which he did. But nevertheless, if the thing that most of us fear can actually happen to a pro, well, it can happen to us. But by trying to live that fear in advance, we've got a better chance of dealing with that should the issue actually happen. And I think I'm going to pause there, Monica, because I think I've given everyone some good ideas, and the ideas of feeling that fear, coffee time, and get the energy with James Brown. It takes time to try these, but try them. You might think yourself, oh no, it's never going to work with me. Try it, and then try it again, and keep trying it. I genuinely believe this is what I do, so that when I get up on stage, I was nervous before I was beginning to speak here today. Not anymore, because I've went through this whole process, which I've been explaining to you today. And I hope that this will be of help to you, that you can take to either yourself or to your members. And please feel free to pass them on.
Thank you,
Thanks, Monica.
Pedro. So we are simply the best and we feel good. So thank you for that food for thought and tips that we can use in our daily meetings on Zoom at work or at Toastmasters. We have a couple of minutes for questions, and there was one asked earlier. So what would you suggest? What happens if the feeling of fear overwhelms you so much and makes you so scared that you don't go with the exercise, don't go with the speech or the talk?
So what are you saying, that if someone is actually on the stage and they freeze? Is that the
No,
question?
when the feeling of fear is so overwhelming, you're not even proceeding to that stage
Oh, I
of
see.
going on the stage.
So what I do is I use my second favorite word, or is it my favorite word? I can't remember. It's the word ask. We have mentors within our clubs. We've got friends within the clubs. We must reach out to our friends in our clubs. If I get stuck with anything, like for example, when I was the district director a few years ago, and Andy Hammond, who's on the call with us today, he was the program quality director. When I had a problem, I called him. Andy, oh, help. And that's why I would suggest anyone who really feels that the fear is just taking them over and they can't get themselves to get up and want to get up in front of an audience, then reach out to members of the club, get someone there to be with you. We had a situation at our club where a lady got up to give her icebreaker and she managed to get that far, and then she broke down after the first minute. She just completely lost it and stopped. So I was Toastmaster that evening, and I got up, said to her, go and sit at the back of the room, have a glass of water. And she was amazed that members of the audience immediately jumped up and offered to help her. You're not alone. There is always someone who will be there to help you. But ask, and we must ask for help. I hope that would help that person who's feeling overwhelmed by fear.
Great. There's one more question. Isn't that negative thinking to make yourself feel fear?
If it helps you to get up on stage and know that you know what the worst thing is going to happen to you, the nerves won't get to you. Isn't it better to know in advance or have an idea in advance what the worst thing could happen to you is, rather than fretting and worrying and then not getting up on stage? How many members or how many guests do you see who are petrified about getting up on stage? We see it all the time. What I'm saying is, if you are told in advance that nothing's going to happen to you, this is exactly what's going to happen, this is the situation, people are going to look at you, they're going to laugh, they want you to succeed, you'll find that people will do it. What I'm saying is, get the fear out of you. Know in your mind, because you make it worse than it actually probably is. I mean, don't we? How many of us, when we were first introduced to Toastmasters, thought, oh, I'm never going to get on that stage. Oh, not me. And then after they found that nothing happened when they got up on stage, that they're still members 10, 20 years later, because it works. The Toastmaster system works, and us supporting each other works. Okay?
Great, thank you. Pedro, you're simply the best. Following on our positive songs and upbeat music. Thank you very much for that talk
Pleasure.
and for answering the questions.